So, Ryan, tell me a little bit about yourself. You ever had physical therapy before?
I'm 17 years old, and no, I've never had physical therapy.
What'd you do to hurt your back?
I was at the track riding my dirt bike, and I overshot a jump and landed on my back, and the doctor told me that my intervertebral disc came up and shattered one of my vertebrae. I think it was said it was the L1, so the burst fracture, but it's stable. So I had to wear a back brace for like 2 months, and now that I can finally take that off, I'm here to do physical therapy.
Well, one thing that I can really help you with that you might not really think is a big deal is posture. With you being so young and having an injury to your spine already, posture is going to be a huge factor. So instead of always sitting slumped like this, hopefully you'll get to the point where you'll be able to have proper posture at all times without even thinking about it. We're not only going to be trying to work with your motor side of rehabilitation, but also your cognitive. That way, we'll try to modify the way that you think about doing tasks. That way, you won't have to even realize that you're doing certain things. It just happens and you have proper posture, and it's better for your back. While you're here doing your therapy, most of the motor skills that we'll be working with will be closed motor skills, which means that you're going to be in a stable environment so that you can practice without having any distractions. However, we will work on some things that will be open, that way you'll get used to having daily encounters and have to be able to work with your surroundings. Also, we'll be doing lots of repetitions, that way there'll be continuous motor movements so that you're not just doing one thing and then done. You'll be doing repetitive movements. We'll also be doing lots of gross motor control, which involves the major muscle portion, major muscles of the body, such as your abdominals, which we'll really be focusing on, because typical crunches will build the size of your abdominals, but the purpose of your abs is to keep your spine stable. So we're going to do exercises to increase the ability of your abdominals to support your spine so that the burst fracture does not become unstable. Hopefully by doing physical therapy, you won't have to go back and do surgery, because if they have to do surgery, they'll probably have to fuse multiple vertebrae, and that will restrict your movement later in life. So hopefully through physical therapy, we'll be able to reduce your risk of injury any further and improve your overall well-being.
Okay, that sounds good to me, because I don't want to have to do surgery.
While I'm working with you, I'll try to be as specific as I can so as to avoid confusion on what I want you to have to do. I'll also try my best to provide feedback so as that you know what to correct and what you're doing well on. Also, before you do anything, I'll be sure to verbally explain it to you and then give you visual demonstrations so that you know exactly what you're supposed to do. That way you reduce the risk of hurting yourself in doing the exercise. I think that the biggest challenge for you is probably going to be focusing attention. You're going to be doing some different exercises, working muscles you may or may not be used to working. The specific directions and demonstrations should be able to help you with that. But if not, I can try my best to break it down even farther. That way you completely grasp what the desired skill I want you to perform is. A lot of the exercises that I want you to work with are going to have different levels. So you may have to start off at the beginning difficulty, but then as you get better and as you grasp the concept more and more, you'll be able to progress and add more and work more. But to begin with, I'm going to start you off at the lowest level on each one, so as I don't have to start you off too high and possibly hurt yourself. Also, depending on how your burst fracture is healing, we may or may not have to omit certain exercises until later on. I don't want to have to do some exercises that may put more stress on your L1 vertebrae and possibly make it unstable and then have to start all over again. Our first day is pretty much going to be a preliminary assessment of where you are physically, so that I can get a general idea of where we need to start and what we need to really work on. However, every day, depending on your performance level, we can make adjustments to certain exercises. That way the plan truly suits you.
Now here are a couple of sample exercises I'm going to have you work with. As you can see here in the first set, You can do the dying bug, start beginning on your back, but then as you become more used to the action and build your muscles up, you can do it with the stability ball. This will really work your core muscles along with your arms and legs a little bit. The supine bridge, initially you're just going to do it just on a mat, but then you're going to add in the ball, and then hopefully you'll eventually get to the foam roll. As you add the foam roll, you'll feel that you have to really tighten your core in order to keep everything completely still. On this one thing you're really going to have to focus on is tilting your hips so that you maintain a straight line from your shoulder to your knee. With the single leg bridges, adding the ball in the second stage really increases the difficulty. Adding the ball increases the level of uncertainty, and you really have to work your core in your whole body in order to maintain stability. The quadruped lifts, the first stage is pretty simple. You get on your knees with one hand and alternate hands lifting up. Then you'll add in the leg. Eventually you get to the point where you can lift opposite arms and legs, which will again utilize mostly your core and then work a little bit of your arms and legs. Doing these exercises will really increase your core strength and hopefully increase the possibility of having your fracture stay stable.
Now, as you progress through your therapy, there's multiple ways that I can measure and make sure you're actually improving like you should be. I'm going to take flexibility measurements to see if your flexibility is improving, because as you do the stretches and everything, you should be able to loosen up and be able to flex more than you could. I'm going to keep a record of how many repetitions you are able to do for each exercise, and hopefully that number will increase as you improve the core muscles we're going to be working on to stabilize your spine. I'm going to then take those results and compare them with the initial results that we're going to do today, and hopefully they'll be higher. I'm also going to be asking you questions as we go on, just to make sure that you understand what you're doing and why we're doing this. I don't want you to come to physical therapy and just roll through the motions and do your reps and get out and not understand how this is going to help you and why we're doing it. Hopefully by the time you get out of here, you'll be much more educated and understand why we're doing this so that you're able to improve your lifestyle.
Alright, well, I'm ready. Hopefully this will work.
So, Ryan, it's been a few months now. How are you feeling?
I can feel more comfortable moving around, and I definitely feel like I'm more conscious about keeping my back straight and using my legs to lift things. And I really do feel that the core exercises really help with stability in my back.
That's good, because your test results have been showing that you are improving, and as I ask you questions and interact with you, it seems that you're understanding and you're following what I'm trying to get you to learn, and hopefully as we continue to go through this process, you'll eventually get to the point where you'll be able to do this stuff all on your own. We'll just have to do this all one day at a time, and hopefully soon you'll be better.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to progressing and hopefully getting to a point where I can do this all on my own. This project was a good model of how, as a physical therapist, I would go about from first encountering a patient, designing a program for them, and then eventually applying that design in order to help them achieve their goals. This was an interesting project, and I enjoyed doing it as it made me think outside the box in order to solve a problem that I had to create on my own. Thank you.